To speak to you about the future is a little daunting because I've never been somewhere where you're living and creating the future every day, where you have resources and dreams and opportunity to build anything that will value the greater good in everything. I'm used to a starvation of resources, a starvation of hope, a starvation of ideas, but none of that exists here. So it's humbling to speak to you about the future because I think you're creating it. My fear in coming here too was I'm going to meet royalty. I'm going to meet a princess, possibly for lunch. What will I say? What will we do? How will I get it wrong? My fears were quickly allayed because one thing I know from everywhere I go is that we'll always find common ground. It's in what we do. It's the first thing we try to do is to find where can we connect? What do we have in common? A little comment I said to the group this morning was I said, how many of you sleep with your mobile device right beside your head by the pillow as if you were a superhero or a surgeon waiting for that very important call? And of course, we almost all do. We're of that same tribe. But until I say that, of course, you don't realize that you're also in that tribe, and you realize, oh, I thought that was just me, until I heard the nervous giggles. And this is how it works. So what I've come to know is that what really has to start in making anything happen in the future is the openness of a warm heart. And where does that come from? It comes from making people really feel like that they belong, and it also comes from laughter, that ability to really laugh at ourselves and laugh what's coming next. See how I'm barely talking about Twitter? We have that, it'll come. What I know is that most technology doesn't build itself, and what I know is that most technology isn't built for technology's sake. There's probably a few apps in the App Store that I could disagree with that point, but what I think really happens is that the future is built based on a very special magic. What built the UAE? It was education. It was unity. It was vision. It's utterly different and so special what's gone on here that I think it becomes the template of what needs to come next as well. Because that was one question. What built the UAE? My question for you in this audience is, what can you build? And you'll see that echoed a bit in what Alexis has to say, who comes up third. What can you build? What's your vision going to be, and how will you add to this and the prosperity of this? Because from your brave idea, futures will rise. And that's really the most important thing I'll tell you. The rest is drivel. Because truly an idea is the seed of it all, isn't it? And the passion to move that along. But how does your idea get seen or heard? That's the essence of my business. I help people understand how does that great idea go from being a goal to a well-formed idea that others can understand, communicated across a platform of some value where people can understand what you have to say and people can feel what you have to share with them. Because what you're looking to do is you're looking to get that idea seen and heard by others. And then the fourth part of that equation is to a network of people who cares. Because there's lots of people who have the opportunity to reach and talk to a lot of people, but that doesn't mean they're going to care when they hear the message. That fourth one is probably the most difficult of them, and it really requires no specific technology, though you can use technology to obtain a lot of the qualities that I'm talking about. In this, what I want to propose is that you think about yourself in a way as the TV station of you. Because to start building this platform is to start realizing, what will I say outward that's not simply my biggest message and my important goal, but what can I say that will educate, entertain, and inform people? There's a lot of things we should do in life. That word should tends to mean, but I won't do it, right? I should eat more vegetables. Should means, but I'm not going to do it. communicating isn't just communicating only the important ideas. And think about relationships. So communication is this, when you're working with friends or colleagues at work, it's not just what has to be said for the job, it's what you say in between. It's the praises, the feedback, the positives and the negatives. So then online, what does this become? It might be photos on Instagram of what you like to take photos of. It could be Formula One cars. It could be beautiful pictures at the Grand Mosque at moonlight, which is what we are all taking earlier. It could be video, it could be anything that you want to communicate. It could be Twitter, and the idea of 140 characters where we can make that same joke about the phone right beside our ear and how we are either a superhero or a surgeon. But that's the question for you. What goes on to that TV station of you? And I have thoughts about that. One trait that I've come to admire in Nobility is that, unlike some people I've met in my life, Nobility has this amazing power to make you feel like you belong and like you are one of them. Reaching into this community, the opportunity is to help others feel like they're one of you, whatever your need is, whatever your goal is, your desire to connect and create. To me, this is something between understanding the story you want to tell and understanding a story that you can tell of the people so that they hear themselves and feel themselves in your words. That's what you're looking for. And there's a phrasing I use for it that doesn't necessarily translate well, but it's the idea of creating a warm bridge. And by warm bridge, it's that inviting feeling of, here's these ideas I have. I would like you in and to be part of these ideas. I want to see what you have to add or what your thoughts are on them. And I want to connect you to this thing I'm creating. And this notion of a warm bridge is what these social tools are allowing for the best. Because we can share the inane moment. We can share the horrible traffic complaint. We can share what we thought of that movie the other night. And there's more like that. Because in that little bit of glue of connecting people to the simple things, the small things in our life, is where we'll find the real bridges. It can be something so strange and inane. I once made a joke. I was at an event at a conference where everyone else we all stayed at the same hotel. And the soap in the hotel was the shape of a leaf. And I made some really dumb joke about it, about the fact that, in other worlds, in other hotels, they actually have roundish ones and they don't look like you took things from outdoors to clean with. And everyone laughed only because they had all used that same soap that morning and hadn't really put that together, that it seemed strange to clean yourself with a soapy leaf. It's in these dumb moments that I think there can be greatness in ideas that are bigger than just those moments. The other thing to pay attention to is that in building this platform and connecting and reaching out to people, it's to realize that your network becomes the asset of power. It becomes not just what you know and what you can do, but who you know and how you can rally them to this opportunity. What does it take to feed and grow a decent network? It takes a lot more giving than it does taking. For instance, to build a network of value, you have to be offering your opportunity into them. You have to be providing something for that person. The best way to build a network is to be helpful to as many people as you can. And thus, when the time comes that should you have to ask, you've planted so many seeds. You've done all the tilling. You've done all the tending. And when the time comes that you have the opportunity to ask, you've been serving this community for such a duration that you can make something big happen. This is so evident in the culture that I've experienced while I've been here, is just this sense that everyone's contributing and can give, and that it can be asked of you later. What came before these digital networks was a lot more finite and a lot harder to sustain because it was only in the proximity of where you were. So networks were the people you knew in your village. It was the people you knew in the nearby village. It was what great news swept over the area but not really kept in. And I don't know, I was raised when you had to like the 3 television stations that were on, and that was it. And the movie theater played one movie, and then when we got 2 movies, choice. Right? What will we do? I remember going to, 10 TV stations, and there were articles in the newspaper saying, how will we know what culture is? There's thousands now. It is a little strange watching Disney in Abu Dhabi. So, I think there's some differences in the storyline there. But I like that it's there. And so before networks that we've built, these social networks, these communities, these opportunities for conversation could leave an area, we were forced with the lot that we had. Now the opportunity is that 3 weirdos from the US come and talk to you about things that we know. Partially, we got a chance to tweet with some of you ahead of time and connect with you in other ways. It was a beautiful thing because it's that sense of ambient touch. We knew you before we entered the room, and we felt welcome long before we set foot in this room. That's the opportunity, the real opportunity, the sacred opportunity is to connect people of value around interests. That's what you'll hear in very different language in a short little bit. I'm going to go shorter and just give you 4 last things. What is required of you to make these networks happen is that you must be brave enough to be inviting. That's the first ingredient. The second is that you must be kind enough to connect everyone around you without any need for extraction of value for yourself. That's the parenthetical part. And then third, you have to be wise enough to capture the story, because where everyone did it differently in the past was something would happen and no one would tell the tale. But you're a land that's built on stories. You understand very much how a story can change everything. But there are new tools to capture it, and you don't have to pick just one. If you don't like Facebook, you don't have to like Facebook. There's one for you. Tell the story where you want to tell it is one of the pieces of advice I give large companies when I speak to them. And last, there's a Sufi mystic, perhaps the most famous poet in that world, Rumi. And he said, just what you seek is seeking you. I love the poetry of Rumi, but that one I love because it's brief enough to tweet it. And also because it means so much. What you seek is seeking you. Of course, if you're seeking a bad day, you get a bad day. Inshallah. That's all I've got, by the way. That and assalamu alaikum. Other than that, I can speak nothing. So just be mildly impressed and let it go by. But what you seek is seeking you also means that when you want to seek to do something great and wonderful to the world, with the world, you can make that happen. I'm sitting next to 2 gentlemen who make it happen for a living, but I have the fortune and the pleasure to work with people every day who bring relief for hurricanes, who help the homeless, who make big creative experiments happen where hundreds of people gather for nothing more than the fun of being part of the same little video. And to me, that just goes back to that first thought. You know what built this place. What will you build? And what will you seek? My name's Chris Brogan. Thank you for your time.